No, it says we're live on my end.
Live on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everybody hang tight. We're going to try this one more time. Let's see. All right. Yeah. All right. Cool. It is working. Man, that was crazy. All right. So for now, we're not going to add people to Zoom. We're just going to send out the live YouTube link, and anyone that wants to get a question, I have the old questions. I don't know if people are even seeing this. Let me put the link back out there. Chris, do you know where we got what our last question was on the Insiders Forum?
Yes, I do.
All right. All right, everybody watching, just hang tight for 1 second. I got to send out this link again. So you're gonna try this again. Not posting the link this time. Just put any Gamecock questions in the YouTube chat. Anybody who's already in YouTube, hang tight with me. I got to tweet this out. We are doing this for the first time ever today, so it is a learning experience. Okay. For anyone who was in our old Zoom and was watching on Instagram or on Zoom, I apologize because we got overran by people once I posted it on Twitter. Everything just went crazy. So, and then I couldn't. I don't know. I thought I'd be able to mute everybody, but it did not work. So here we are. I'm not going to post that link on Twitter again. Apologize if anybody said or did anything insane coming in. Like Chris said, there was a guy very oddly dressed that popped on.
That would, sum it up. Yep.
But I don't think there was anything vulgar said. Hopefully not.
I felt like I was in like a movie or something for a minute. Like I didn't know what to do or like there's just all these like weird happenings all around, and I don't know. I felt like I was in like a David Lynch movie or something. But anyway.
Yeah, and I've felt like we've been in a movie for like about 3 weeks now, 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, we are going to try to finish out our Gamecock chat. And Chris, what's the next question? And anybody that hit us on YouTube, I tried to save your questions, so I'm going to still hopefully be able to get to them for you. And anybody that's tuning back in, I appreciate it. But Chris, what do we got next on there?
Yeah, so the next Insiders Forum question is how does J.C. Horn stack up to other corners coming out in the 2020 class? And I'll have to admit, I haven't really, I guess you could say, studied, not that I'm a draft analyst, I haven't really studied that draft class yet. I do know this, J.C. Horn ability-wise has the opportunity to be a high type of draft pick. I mean, when you look at size, speed, ability, I wouldn't be shocked if he was a guy that one day was a first round draft pick. I think certainly he's going to be a drafted player, whether he comes out this year or next year. And I think he has that high level of ability as well. So I don't really know how he stacks up. And a lot of that depends on this season. I think a lot of people within the program are looking at it right now and they're going, okay, we're just not sure. He might, if with a big season, have a chance to come out. And look, if he's coming out early, that means he's probably a top 2 round type of draft pick. I mean, I would think. And so I think a lot of it we'll know more, as the season progresses, in terms of where he may fall.
Well, and dude, I mean, I'll say if he's coming out early, that means he's had the season you want him to have,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that means that, and I think, we talked about this on the podcast. I really feel pretty good about where the defense is right now. I know last year, if you just look at numbers defensively, they weren't an elite SEC defense. But I think some of that was just the positions they were put in time after time. At the end of the year, we all saw what the offense did. When you don't have a running game on the offensive side, that just skews everything else and puts you in a bad spot with everything else. So, I think the lack of offense down the stretch hurt their defensive numbers. Obviously, losing Javon Kinlaw is big. Losing T.J. Brunson is big. But you look at some of the young talent on defense. You look at some of the veterans on the defensive line. I think Ernest Jones, with a full year under his belt at linebacker, should be in a position to have a great year. On defense, it all works together. You got to be good at all three levels. And when you have solid players at all three levels, then your individuals can excel. And I think there's enough talent around J.C. Horn for him to have a big year. Obviously, that doesn't really answer their question directly. I'm with you. I don't even know what else is out there. Is it a strong class? Is it not a strong class? As far as defensive backs go, I don't know. But here's the thing about J.C. Horn. He, to steal the cliche, he checks every single box for you. I mean, the kid is, first of all, everybody can see the tangible stuff, the size, the ability to turn his hips, the physicality. But he adds in the fact that he is a natural born leader, the fact that he works his tail off, the fact that he gives you all those different qualities. So I don't know where he matches up, but I do think that this is a future top. I mean, even I don't think it's a stretch at all, Chris, to say he's got a chance to be a first-round pick, but I think he's definitely going to be. I mean, what do you think? A top 2 or 3 round pick just on what we've seen so far? Is that safe to say? I'm not a big NFL draft guy, but just what I see from a South Carolina standpoint, I think he's easily a top 3 round guy.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you could look at. I mean, if you want to go a little bit more conservative, you can say, you know what? I think J.C. Horn's going to be at least a mid-round draft pick, and he'd probably be pretty safe there. I think so.
All right. What else? What else we got on there, man?
Another question. This is another sort of COVID-19 related question that didn't really loop in on the last one. It's from grad student, and basically it's a lengthier question with some examples, but the gist of it is if the 2020 season was canceled, so hypothetical situation, and players had the option to take a redshirt year and come back, how would this impact South Carolina? And he used the example of, hey, I think it could negatively impact a school like Clemson because they could theoretically lose, a Trevor Lawrence, a Justin Ross, and, ETN obviously wouldn't play this year. So his question is, how would it impact South Carolina? And then would it help South Carolina's chances to beat Clemson? As far as South Carolina, hard to tell. I mean, because then you go back to J.C. Horn. And I know people may get frustrated with us on these answers. It's hard to answer something like that without being able to, I think, Wes, we work with a little bit of like a reporter mind. And so we give our opinions and sort of prognosticate on some things, but I don't know if in that hypothetical scenario football got canceled, I don't know how J.C. Horn, for example, would handle it. I don't know if he'd say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and stand on what I've got and go. Or I don't know if he would say, I need to come back for another year. Most guys would come back for another year. A guy like Travis Etienne, since he mentioned him as an example, is probably gone. He's done enough to be a top 2 round draft pick already. A lot of people were shocked that he came back. So would that scenario allow South Carolina to keep more guys and Clemson to lose some guys? Probably. So, but that said, they've still, the team in the upstate's got a lot of talent still. And So would it be a better outlook in 21 under that scenario than it would in 20? Probably, but I don't know if it's a huge difference either way.
By the way, did we just get some breaking news while we were doing this?
I thought so, but I'm not sure now. DeMarco Williams, the corner commitment for South Carolina in the 21 class, he tweeted out basically that he was decommitting from South Carolina, but then I can't find it anymore. So it's like it's gone now. So I don't know what happened there. We're going to look into it and effort that. He has been picking up some offers and things like that. So we gotta look into that a little bit more.
I got you. Never a dull moment, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had, let's see, what, two quarantine commitments now to cover.
Yeah.
Possibly a quarantine decommitment.
Yep.
Cover. Recruiting just literally never actually stops.
It does not.
Ever. All right, so let's see. Let's try to hold. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull up. I believe I got some of the YouTube questions from last time before we got cut off. If y'all are still listening, thanks for joining in. Let's see. Chris Pascal wants to know, when you look at Bobo's offense, I think it is a perfect fit for this offense. I believe it means these offensive players. Lloyd is his kind of back. The offensive line is athletic, needs to get nasty. And I'm not as down on the wide receivers as others. Sorry if you've already talked about this, just tuned in. Love the work you put in, and glad I'm a member of the site. Chris, we appreciate you being a member of the site and for hanging with us there. Not necessarily a question there, but I guess we can go into what have your thoughts been so far, Chris, on Bobo's offense, but not just in general, but more so how it fits what they have, coming back offensively. I'm sort of with him on Marshawn Lloyd. I think the quarterback situation will play itself out. I think offensive line will play itself out as well. I think they're fine. I think they're good at tight end. The big question comes back to wide receivers. I think wide receivers will be the question until it's not a question. But
yeah, good way to put it.
Yeah. So let's talk scheme wise, Bobo's offense in the context of the current personnel on offense.
Well, I think when Mike Bobo's name first circulated for the job and during the search, and when we found out he was, looked like he was going to be the guy, I think there were questions about it because you think of Bobo's offense. A lot of people thought back to Georgia from 2007 to 2014, and they said, well, man, going to go back to I formation and stuff like that. And look, there is some truth in that, but I think you look more recently at what Bobo did at Colorado State. And, it's very interesting how he structured the games. They'd open the game in 4 wide or play with an H-back and shotgun and then the next drive, they'd be an I formation, running the football, running play action, boots and stuff like that. And so you're going to see some of both of that. And one thing that Mike Bobo's made clear is he's not going to come in and just force feed a particular part of the scheme down the team's throat just because it's something he believes in. He wants to believe in just having a good scheme and putting players in position. So that said, I think South Carolina may have some pieces to where it makes more sense to get an I sometimes. Fans clamor for that sometimes in short yardage, don't be in the gun, go to I formation. And so maybe that's what they do. A guy like Adam Prentice, a guy like Ryan Helinski, from what we've heard, played quite well this spring, working in that scheme. And you're right, no matter what the scheme is, they're going to have better wide receiver play. They're going to have to run the ball with more consistency. They were really good at times last year, really not good at other times. And then they're going to have better quarterback play. So all of it works hand in hand. I think Bobo's a veteran play caller. A lot of people looked at it too and said, well, gosh, is South Carolina going to be Georgia now offensively? And the more I dug into that, the more I realized, if they could be as good as Georgia was during those years or 3/4 of it, that's a massive upgrade. You know what I mean? Because you look at those teams and they set a lot of school records. When he had Aaron Murray was the first player in history of the SEC to pass for 3,000 yards 4 seasons in a row. set the SEC passing record. They had good running backs every year. Georgia didn't win a championship, but they were good offensively every year. And I'm not saying to expect that at South Carolina, but if you can build that, if you can work towards that, and Bobo's evolved his scheme. So everything we've heard is he's been good from an energy standpoint. Players have taken to the scheme. He's got a system in place that, that he believes in and that people believe in. And it seemed to be a positive on that front. But you're right. I mean, it goes back to players. So there's going to have to be a lot of development that goes in. But I think schematically, and from a play calling standpoint, you probably feel pretty good about it at this point.
Yeah, the thing that I keep hearing mentioned, Chris, is the phrase that he has answers. And that was described to me as in he has answers to what the defense is doing. He has a counter for whatever he may see schematically, from the defenses that they're facing. And I think that's something that has people at South Carolina, from the players to the coaches, I think pretty excited about what, what they could be under this offense. I think my biggest question is how do we see this offense continue to evolve from, we saw it evolve from Georgia to Colorado State. How does it evolve from Colorado State to South Carolina? A future question too, when it comes time, whenever it may be, for Luke Doty to be the guy, how does it evolve from a sense of using a skill set, like he has versus a skill set like a Ryan Helinski has. All right, let's try to roll through and get some of our questions in here. Ocular Pat Down, another loyal subscriber who posts a pretty good bid. Chris, if Jalen Dickerson can come on and stay healthy, who gets the other safety spot? I like Roderick, but his coverage is hit or miss last year. Let's see. I feel like you have to get Jamie on the field as much as possible. Depending on how Smith or Dixon come along at corner will determine where I think that you play Mukuamu the most. This is what I'm thinking / hope shakes out. 4-3 defense, Horn, Dixon, Jalen Dickerson, and Jamie Robinson as your 4 starters. And then nickel would be Jamie, Horn, Dixon, Dickerson, Mukuamu. Well, his 4-3 doesn't have Mukuamu in it. And I think there's no question that Mukuamu is going to be on the field somewhere. I think your best look is probably that Jamie Robinson is a safety when they're in a 4-3. If Jalen Dixon can be the other guy, then I think that's huge for them. You and I both have talked a ton about the way people talked about Jalen Dickerson when he first got here. I mean, that he was like a future all-SEC type player. So if you add that with Jamie Robinson at safety, then when you go to the nickel, slide Jamie Robinson down to nickel back, bring on an RJ Roderick at that point, and then you can leave J.C. Horn, leave Mukuamu at corner, keep as many things the same as possible. And then, you have Johnny Dixon, Cam Smith providing depth at corner. We'll see who provides depth at safety. But to me, that's your, at least for me, that's my best case scenario for that group.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I think that Jamie can play quite well at safety, but he obviously can play nickel. I really think, and I've heard more and more about how Cam Smith and Johnny Dixon have come along. And so I think the ideal scenario, and I don't know if this has happened, the ideal scenario is going to be to play JC at a corner spot. That's really the only one that seems completely locked in, right? Israel Mukuamu did play a good bit of corner this spring too. But if he could play safety in the nickel package, at least go play safety, and then put either RJ or Jalen beside him. Actually, no, in the 4-3 rather. I'm sorry. You got JC and one of John Dixon or Cam Smith or Israel, and then I think you play Jamie and RJ or Jalen at safety. There's no nickel on the field then. When you go to nickel, I think you got to move Jamie there, and then go with another safety. Jalen Dickerson's emergence there is huge. And then you're able to plug in opposite JC one of Cam or John Dixon. But I think Israel Mukuamu being able to play safety in the nickel package would be pretty significant if he could bounce back and forth, or who knows, maybe even land at safety full time. But if he could slide back there and let Jamie go play nickel, I think that would be a huge boost to them. And skill set wise, he's got that ability.
Definitely. All right. So going through the site a little bit right now. I see you posted it as well, Chris. I saw Chad Simmons had posted. I believe Chad talked to DeMarco Williams. Says that DeMarco does not want to talk about the details of his decommitment right now, but that he is, quote, back open. So a little bit of breaking news there for the Gamecocks. That is Westlake High School cornerback from Atlanta, Georgia, DeMarco Williams, reopening his recruitment today, decommitting from South Carolina. Let's make sure. I want to make sure we get through all these questions. So, by the way, if you're watching this after the fact and you're wondering why we did not answer your question, we probably did, but our last chat got basically overrun by people on Twitter, and I am not going to archive that video just because it got a little crazy. So apologize if you missed it while we did it live. This is from GSGP69. Let's say they play a shorter schedule, take away 4 games, no bye week. How would it look? 1 out of conference game, 7 in conference. Your thoughts? Again,
are we going to say we don't know again to that one? Because
make something up, Chris.
Yeah, we do need to just, you know what, we'll just straight make something up. Yeah, the emphasis in that case would be on conference games, don't you think? I mean, you would have to, for contractual reasons, TV reasons, I think it would have, the emphasis would have to be on the conference games. So obviously my caveat is, how short and, what's the timeline and all that stuff. But yeah, I would say maybe even a shortened conference season, and maybe you try to keep the rivalry game. But I could even see that being eliminated. I think if there's a shortened college football season, the emphasis is certainly, for many reasons, going to be on the conference schedule.
Yeah, definitely. All right. I like this one from J.H. Johnson 67. If the GCC staff were on a football team, what position would you all play? Is there a DJ Swearinger, Connor Shaw, Ace Sanders, etc. on staff? In short, no, there's not. In long, I'm going to say I would hope that I could at least maybe be a slot receiver type. Obviously, those who know me know that I'm not blessed in the height department. So I'm going to be our slot receiver. Where are you lining up, Chris?
Yeah, I was going to say, can I be one too? Can we just have, both be the same type? Because I'm not really sure what else I can give you. I don't know if I can be I don't feel like I could be a small corner or anything. I feel like I'd have to be like a scat back or like a slot receiver would have to be my my forte. I'll go, since you already picked slot receiver, I'll say scat back and hope I don't get absolutely annihilated by somebody, which I would. But
I got you. So, I mean, well, we have a pretty small staff, but I mean, we've had Perry Orth do stuff for the site before.
Yeah.
And
Bryson Allen Williams, he could play something for us.
Yeah, he obviously was going to play linebacker for us, I guess. So, Colin, I don't know what you're doing, buddy. I don't know where we're going to put him. Maybe tight end.
I like that. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Although I will say, if we had a flag football game with the other rival site staffs, kind of like our chances, Chris.
I think we could do a little bit of damage at least. Yeah.
Not saying a lot, honestly, but I do like our chances. Let's see, Red Fox 1. Do we have a football season? We already sort of covered that.
Yep.
We don't really know. Let's see, who starts at strong safety, free safety, and nickel. We sort of covered that as well. What can we expect from Rod Fenton and Brad Johnson at the buck position? That's something we have not talked about at all, so we'll hit on that a little bit. I think that's the position, Chris, that is really set up for, a guy like Jordan Birch to come in and potentially make an impact. there's not a proven, Brad Johnson has played a lot in his career, so that's not a knock on him, but there's not a proven difference maker at that position right now. There's a proven player as far as someone you can trust to know what to do and to go out there and play, but there's not a proven difference maker at that position, which to me sets it up for Jordan Burch, if he is as good and athletic as we all think he is, to come in and play there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a spot certainly for somebody to come in and take some snaps. Even with DJ Wanham on the roster, South Carolina like to let somebody, whether it's Danny Finn or somebody else, come in and take some snaps. And so obviously you lose Wanham, and now you're relying on the guy in Fitton who hasn't played, and then Brad Johnson has played, but he's never been the guy. I still am thinking that he could take a step forward. I think he's got the ability to. Last different spurts of practice, we've heard that he's done some really good things. He's had a couple nagging type of injuries that have held him back a little bit. I remember, I think it was last preseason, he was having a really good camp, and then had a little bit of a nagging injury and missed some time. But I still think that he's got a chance to be pretty good. Mike Peterson had some good things to say about him at times. Rod Fitton's an athletic guy. He's a little bit along the same lines of a Bryson Allen Williams, just when you think of the playing style. But I think Jordan Burch, obviously, he's going to be in terms of pure talent, athleticism, size to speed ratio, he's going to be one of the better guys on the team. It's just about making that adjustment whenever he is able to get to campus. But I think the opportunity's there for him to take some snaps as a freshman.
All right, let's hit. We do have another YouTube question that just came in, and we're going to wrap this thing up here. BM_12, Timothy Yates on YouTube, who is a subscriber. If there was one prospect that didn't live up to expectations or didn't sign with South Carolina but could have had the biggest impact on the program, who was it and why? He says in the Muschamp era, that is. So let's make that which prospect that South Carolina missed on could have made the biggest impact in the South Carolina era. Anything pop in your mind? I before he said Muschamp era, my first thought was Arden Key. As someone that South Carolina, missed on. And we'll make it guys that they were in on, that they were in at least decent.
Right.
Because I look at those defenses and how they struggled to rush the passer and how much they missed a true elite edge guy after Clowney graduated. Melvin Ingram was gone. Devin Taylor was gone. Kelsey Quarles was gone. All those guys were gone. They missed. They didn't have anybody waiting in the wings, and Arden Key was supposed to be the guy. Cleveland Farrell was someone that they were actually in a decent position with early on in that class, Chris, and just didn't happen for them. Those are the two guys that immediately came to mind. I'm trying to think is there a wide receiver during the Muschamp era that they missed on? They were in good shape.
And even, just to pitch in a little bit on the Spurrier era, even you look at that same class you were talking about, they had Jair Alexander, Mark Fields, and Damon Arnett all committed at DB in that class. I mean, you just pick one of them, that would have helped a lot. And they had all three at one time. So, I'm actually going through, I'm trying to jog my memory a little bit to make sure I'm not missing out on anybody, and sort of going through, some guys out of the first few Muschamp classes. Receiver at a certain spot would probably be a good one. A receiver or a difference-making running back, would probably be, I think, a pretty good place to start. But you also have to go with guys that they were like legitimately in the game with. Riley Ridley maybe is maybe one. But they also, they've had some. He was in.
I was trying to think.
Brian Edwards.
I was trying to think in terms of a receiver who would maybe still be on your roster right now to
right moment.
step in for to step in for Brian Edwards. Obviously, they've had some guys the last couple of years, but that would be ready to just step in potentially. I think if you went running back, though, it'd be a guy, you feel good about what they have right now, but maybe just a difference maker, year 1 or 2 that could have been the difference in maybe a game or two, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, even, and it's sort of hard to tell on that too. I mean, just based on some of the guys that they were in on at the time, Darion Kendrick, for example. I mean, he plays corner at Clemson, but probably would be a receiver at Carolina and probably would be helping a lot there. He comes to mind. Darion Kendrick. If you look at, in the 18 class, Zamir White, which he hasn't done a ton at Georgia, but he's been injured. If he was on the roster right now, he could have helped. Even Master Teague at Ohio State, who played for them, has been playing for them. Shoot, I don't know, man. I might go with Kendrick, honestly, as being one, just because I feel like he's going to probably be an NFL corner, but I still think he could have been a really good college receiver too. And, would still be on the roster right now.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Do we have any questions left, man? I think we may have hit them all.
Yeah, I think we hit the ones on the Insiders Forum at least. So
yeah, I think we hit them all on YouTube as well. So let's wrap this up. I mean, what have we learned today? Do not post your Zoom meetings on Twitter.
Right. Yep.
Until you find out a way. I thought I had complete control if I was in the host. And see, here's the thing about being prepared, Chris. I'm now seeing that there is a thing that says allow participants to unmute themselves, and it is checked. And that is something that should have been unchecked, because then they couldn't have talked unless I let them.
We still would have had some of the weird visuals, I think.
Yeah, but I think that the visual wouldn't have popped up on the main stream.
That wouldn't have, but just the person being there, I couldn't really concentrate with the S&M and all that was going on.
Well, I think I could have then kicked them off without everything.
Right.
Everything was popping up so quickly that I kind of had a moment. I just didn't know what to do.
Sort of froze up a little bit. That's all right.
And I kept clicking mute, and then it was unmuting, and then mute, and then unmute. So those who are just joining us have no idea what we're talking about. But
right.
For anyone who saw something that hurts your eyes earlier, we do apologize for that. But I do think otherwise, the technology is pretty cool. And maybe we, if people like it, we can do this again. If you think so as well.
Yeah, I think we should go for it.
Awesome. And want to, invite everybody to check out our content. We've still been rolling it out. I got what I believe was a really good interview with Colton Gauthier that is up in podcast form. We've still been rolling out our insider reports and rolling out our Carolina confidentials. So we know it's tough right now, no sports, but we've still been trying to put content out that you can enjoy and that you can check out. So we appreciate everyone that continues to support Gamecock Central. Chris, you got final thoughts? Or are you good, man?
I think I'm good. I think we're ready to go.
All right, cool. So like I said, we appreciate the support. Thanks for being on Gamecock Central. We will try to do these again, maybe early next week. But until then, we'll see you on Gamecock Central, and everybody stay safe and have a good one.